Fighter 6. Fighter 6.
For the first day of this, what we're gonna do? He goes, "Oh, this is adorable. I want you to see it." And I thought it was gonna be a picture of his son. Open the thing. It's just two pairs of titties, just blah, like nice ones, just very nice ones. It just caught me off guard. I'm like, oh, oh, that's a different type of adorable.
But you recovered though.
I did recover. I mean, I went along with it.
Sagittarius, age 32.
Street Fighter 6.
It's not my thing, you know.
Did not take you long, but you did recover, my friend, which is all that matters. Yeah, just what I'm also getting ready to do. This is for the Patreon. I'm gonna announce this. We're still putting it together, but I'm gonna do this dinner with Dante thing. So the Patreon guys, y'all are the first thing to this. What I'm gonna do is maybe set up a dinner in your city. We're gonna come to your city. We're gonna eat together. We're gonna drink together. There'll be a price to book it. Once I set it up, I'm working on my website to book this up. You'll come on and we'll sit down with you guys. Anybody who listens, who's a staunch listener, you don't have no requirements other than the booking fee. We're gonna pay for dinner. You'll pay a fee, and then you come and we're gonna sit down and have dinner. And anything you want to ask me, you can ask me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start touring the cities. I'm going to go from one city to the next and come see my people.
Nice.
You know?
Nice.
So that's coming up. So look out for that. I'll probably put it on the Patreon. I'll post it on the Patreon. It will definitely be on my website. I'm working on my website now. So I really want to meet these guys, and I want to explain them. And there's going to be some bonuses, some bonus stuff that you're going to get. If you sign up to it, but we'll wait till we get it all together. I'm still trying to get all the particulars together. But yeah, did we have any Patreon questions? Do we have any?
Let me see. Let me go over here and check it out 1 second, because I did put in bear with me here. Real time. Let's see. Oh, let me go to the notifications, because we did post it, and the guys are usually pretty good with. The guys and gals are usually pretty good to getting back to us. Let's see here. All right. I have one here, if you're ready.
Ready.
I recently went on a date with this new girl who is respectful and even pretty fun to hang out with. She's pretty conservative with her body and isn't huge on physical things, but still was okay with holding hands and arms around the waist and hands on the thighs. She just isn't into kissing or anything more yet. She was kind about expressing her boundaries and even expressed that I was respectful in my advances, and she liked that. Understandably, we were still getting to know each other, and it was our first date. I don't want to push her beyond her comfort because, like Man School teaches, you don't want to sleep with anyone who doesn't want to sleep with you. Exactly. But let's see. When coming across women who are genuinely more conservative, what is the healthy boundary when it comes to a physical relationship with them? Is there a point where it's time to take your ball and go home, even if you aren't getting any red flags that she is disrespecting you? Also, she hasn't asked if I'm seeing anyone else, and I haven't told her that I have a couple women that I have on the roster. When is a good time to bring that up? Because I want to be honest, it just hasn't come up yet.
Well, trust me, when she is interested in you, you are going to get an avalanche of questions. No, I've never met a chick who just goes, don't ask, don't tell. Women want to know. So if she's not asking these questions, it's because she doesn't care. Now that doesn't mean she doesn't like you. She hasn't made a decision that she wants to fuck you. But the minute she wants to fuck you, trust me, you're gonna know what the situation is. This is an interesting thing because I just did a consultation on this where a guy was dating a girl, and then What happened? Oh yeah. He was been on a couple of dates with her, but he's worried about whether he's being in the friend zone, right? And I'm like, well, how many times have you dated? He's like 3 times, going on 4. And I go, did you kiss yet? No. I go, well then it's over. I mean, I don't have a problem with if you as an individual don't have a problem dating and there's no kiss, no sexual, but you have to understand that at some point in time that gap has to be bridged. And if there is no inkling that it's even going in that way, it's not going to. She's not, I mean, I won't say she's not, but I guess I could say she's not going to make the move, because women, they don't want to deal with the rejection. They will. If you're Drake or Brad Pitt or whoever, Jason Momoa or whoever it is, they will make the decision. And even then, it's funny because even then, it's really not overtly, Yeah, it may be overtly flirting, but they don't want to put themselves out there and then get rejected. So it's not going to come from them anyway. So, but if you're in a situation where this girl you're flirting and whatever, and I'm like, well, we talked about. He was like, well, we talked about sex, a little bit about sex, but then when they go out, this is the okie doke, like they talk that shit, and then when you go out, it's strictly platonic. It's just small talk and stuff, and you cannot make somebody do what you want them to do. So let's go there first. And you don't want to sleep with somebody that doesn't want to sleep with you. But if you have made an attempt, I think he tried to kiss her and she pulled away, which whatever. And it's great that she's upfront about what her boundaries are. But let's take a good look at this. If you want to be spitting in somebody's mouth and choking them, right, and you want to get your balls licked,
This ain't the girl for you.
this chick is not going to be the chick. You're already talking about how conservative she is. You're already talking about how prude it is. The sex is probably going to be lousy anyway. But because she's pristine, or however it's cool, and she's not disrespectful. First of all, the fact that when people say that, it's almost as if guys think that disrespectful women is the norm. That they're just, and that is not the norm. That is sure it's the norm if you come off weak and if you're not really defining what your boundaries are. But it shouldn't be the norm that some chick is just crazy and disrespectful to you for no apparent reason. So let me say that first. Second of all, if you're going 3 dates and she hasn't even kissed, and even the fact that there's an incongruency with the fact that she's talking or texting about sex, and then when you come out, there's not even a hug or around, you're not holding hands, you're not making. It's not going to happen. So the response of that used to be man school 101 would be to approach her and say, hey, what's going on? Now, I would have said that probably 3 years ago. Now, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in this, you have women always, especially women psychiatrists, it's all about communication. No, it's not. It's about action. So this woman she's raping your time. She's raping.
I think action is communication in a way, though.
And it absolutely is.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about it, it's
Right.
a step that shouldn't be given. A chick who's not kissing you is probably not going to suck your dick from the back, right? And in fact, she's making it so clear with the fact that sex is so far away, as if it's special. Like she thinks it's special, and it's not. It's as special as I think it is. So what I would do in that situation is pull back. I wouldn't even have a conversation. I would just stop calling, stop,
Especially if you have other chicks on the roster here.
Right, if you
Focus
got
your
other
time
stuff,
on that.
it's whatever. If you're not interested, and then when she calls and say, "Hey, I haven't heard from you," you go, "Well, you say, well, I just figured you weren't interested," and then she'll go, "No, I mean, what would make you think that I thought we got along good?" And then you go, "Listen, I understand. What did I used to say all the time? I don't mind not fucking. I mind can't fucking. I mind that clearly I'm taking you out, and this is verbatim what should come out of your mouth. I know that you know I'm attracted to you, and that I ultimately want to move this to some level of intimacy. And you're not even sure. I understand if you're shy, but you're not even giving me a pathway to get to that. And so I just assumed you weren't interested. And then when she goes, well, I am interested, it's just da-da-da-da-da. And I go, that's fine, but that's not being communicated to me. So I'm going to go because, and now you can change your mind, but now at least it's on the table and she understands that sex is on the table. That you're not going to continue hanging out, spending your money, spending your time, spending it without her real intention on giving some pussy. We're taking you out because we want to fuck. You're letting us take you out because you should be, I'm not saying you got to know that you want to fuck me, but you're trying to get to know me so that we can ultimately reach that level, some level of intimacy, whatever that is. If she's not doing that, it's because she doesn't want to do it. Never, ever have I dealt with a girl where he said, I think he said she didn't even ask him if he's dating somebody. Does she have a right to even, I mean, if the whole thing is 100% platonic, unless you guys are good buds, why does it matter?
Bros. Unless you're bros.
Unless we're bros. My guy. My dude.
My main cheese.
You know? So it's
my head honcho.
But again, this is not being honest. You already know there's no chemistry there. You already know that this is not going nowhere. And then you're going to call me and ask me, what do I think? I mean, what do you think? I mean, are you not getting them? Is there a clear pathway to where you get to be intimate? If not, and that's important. Now, look, if she's cool to hang out with, you don't mind, by all means. The problem is then you have to be honest, which is the authenticity again. Are you really okay with this? Or are you just laying in the cut, waiting for the right time? And strategy, you don't, when you have a superior team, you don't really have to have strategy. You just go play and you whip everybody's butt. You don't need a report. You don't need a strategy. You don't need a coach. When you are valuable on another level, and when you are so on a higher level, you just go, yo, you want to do this or you don't. And I understand. Don't get me wrong, because I think I get a backlash on this because I say it as if it's so easy. But I know it's not easy. I know that these guys who are listening haven't done these things. I know that sometimes they look at my stories and people's stories that guys have. Oh, I could never do that, but you absolutely can. You can do whatever you want to do. And most of the time, when you have that ability and you just start applying certain things, the success becomes so much better exponentially. The whole thing ends up turning around. Like it moves too quick. Wait a minute. I remember that. I remember you telling me. I remember it like it was yesterday. Driving up to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Man, I'm beat.
Tired. I don't want to make like road trip.
Don't go. You don't have to go. Yeah, but I know if I don't go, I can't keep it. So it happened until and then whatever ultimately happened. They didn't get tired of you. You got tired of you. Got tired of driving with me.
That's true. Yeah, I cut everything off. I got tired of it. It wasn't worth it anymore. I stopped communication, and I was nice about it, just ghost people, but I stopped, expressing interest or I just cut it off, you know,
and I think it's easy. It's your own explanation. If you're in this relationship, y'all are fucking, and all of a sudden you decide to pull back. I think you owe that explanation. But when she has nothing gained, nothing ventured into the relationship. You're taking her out, you're calling her, you're pursuing her, you're paying the bill. She has nothing vested in it other than the fact that she's trying to figure out if you're good enough to be her. That's literally
the only
what
thing she has vested in it is giving up pussy, right? Which is still work for you, not a pride. Because you gotta put in the work.
Might as well elaborate on that.
You have to, listen, you have to, even sex life is, that's just, you get a job opportunity. You still have to work, right? You're granted access to that. You gotta work and you gotta perform. And you gotta do well. And if you don't, I'm not gonna give you another chance.
Even if it's the greatest job ever.
Yeah, you still gotta work.
You gotta show up. You gotta shower.
Clock in.
Shake, clock in.
Put on your safety gear.
Log in.
Whole thing. Log in.
And then you gotta maintain a certain level of perfection. Otherwise, you get fired. So it's nothing.
It doesn't have to be perfection. I don't want to throw that out there only because you guys get it in their head. But you have to maintain a level of confidence.
Yeah. You gotta be good enough.
You gotta be good enough. You gotta bring something to the table that they keep you around. That still work for you.
So you are already at a deficit. So already being at a deficit is a weird thing. So why wouldn't you at least get what you deserve to get? I always use Harry always gets uncomfortable with my dog analogy. But you buy a puppy and you know you gotta walk him to 3 times a day?
At least 3 times a day. Yeah.
3 times a day. You gotta train him. You gotta feed him. You gotta make sure that they have the shots. You gotta make it sick. You gotta go right away. Bathe them. I even think about that. Cut the nails. This is a whole endeavor that you're taking on.
You gotta brush him. That's the whole thing.
But here's the thing about your dog. Every time you come in the house, he's like, "Hey, it's my person. My person is home. Hooray!" You get that every time. How often do you get that from your girlfriend?
Huh?
Or your wife?
None. But I mean, the point is, it's not consistent.
And
that dog is always. That's why dog is man's best friend. Every time you're there, the dog is. You ever hear that old joke? There's an old joke where somebody goes, if you lock your wife and your dog in the trunk of a car and come back in an hour and you open the trunk, which one's going to be happy to see you? Which one's going to be angry at you?
Yeah, it's a good point.
But
it's not. You don't. So, and you said some never. I was talking to Iggy.
I can't hear you.
I was talking to Iggy. I was talking to Cinnabon.
Oh, Cinnabon.
And he had a dude. It's this summer, or maybe 2 summers ago. Dude is on 98 degrees out. He's underneath his wife's car, laying on the hot concrete. He don't even have a creeper. He's got a piece of cardboard, changing the oil. He goes, "Hey, honey, you give me a beer." What do I look like, a maid? Get it yourself. He's under the car, just oil dripping on him, on the fucking tarmac. It's like an airport tarmac. It's 100 degrees. And
I would have got that beer. I'll tell you what I would have done. I would have gotten that beer and left everything else there, untouched.
Yeah. And this guy was like, "Yo, how did you, the level of entitlement?" But I realized it's really not we gotta stop blaming women. Just the way women gotta stop blaming men. Men cheat, they're not monogamous because you sleep with cheaters. You sleep with guys who are monogamous, like our human species works the way it does for a reason. There's a reason why. If women didn't talked to guys who were not
No, really?
monogamous, were simply monogamous, then we would have monogamous men. Genetically, we would just...
You're glossing over that. I'm sorry. If women didn't fuck, like, if you're
women
saying
didn't fuck players,
dirtbags,
pimps, players,
nobody would be a
hustlers,
dirtbag.
then nobody would be. There would be no market for it. But you like the dude that other women find attractive. You like the dude that has charisma. You like the dude that other women have because you can covet him and say, yo, this is my guy. The guy that all of you want is my guy. So they pick those people. That's who you like the guy. You don't want the regular guy who makes $50,000 a year and is average looking, but he's a good sound guy. But here's what happens. The value of those things that we as men, we value, and here's an interesting thing. As men, we value those things automatically. It's nothing your friend could be dumb as a rock, but loyalty is more important than anything because men are constantly at risk. We are in a place where we are. Everything is subjective to the surrounding. So if you get somebody who's loyal, you'll never get rid of that person.
Yeah, that has value to it. But it doesn't.
People get a loyal dude. Oh, he's just too nice.
Yeah.
He's just corny. He's just too nice. He's not. I don't have to bail him out. I don't. It's just the insanity.
Just too boring. It's too boring. Yeah. It's he's sweet, but there's just something missing. Blah, blah. Yes. They don't value it at the same level.
Yeah, because when everything you do is subject to scrutiny and everything that you do is subject to your failure or pain that you cause yourself, birth or pain or whatever, or delay in your happiness, you think that much more, you don't think of much more value. There's much more value. A loyal friend is more than anything else. A woman, and you see that this guy was, loyal as shit. But the problem is you gotta be, even if you're loyal, you gotta be loyal and still not be loyal, which is difficult. Balance, because we want to do things for the women that we are attracted to and that we like, and that happens automatically. The problem is that and this is our problem.
Nicely done.
We allow them the same way women can be fucking cunts and assholes is because we allow this behavior. That is literally why this show is in place. It's because we have chosen cunts and bitches over, hot cunts and bitches over nice girls, over women that are kind. And we allow that.
Tolerate that behavior. But also, we tolerate a change as well when someone comes in as a nice girl, and then we allow the behavior to change and tolerate things we don't like and lie to ourselves about it. And then
here's the other thing, guys will accept that and then go, I'm just going to get out of the dating scene together. How many times have you heard that?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I just don't want to do it anymore. It's not worth doing anymore. As if it's a dating scene and not that we allow that.
Yeah.
I was like that. I didn't see it. I didn't understand it. I just thought that this is the nature of women. And this
Did
is
you
what
really have that feeling?
I had that feeling of this whole fucking thing does. I didn't think I was going to do celibacy, but I was just like, it's just not worth chasing this. I don't know that it'll ever be manageable.
So what would you, if it didn't change for you, what do you think your life would have looked like?
I think I would have found somebody else again and gone through the same cycle. I would have met somebody.
Would you have gone with somebody easier, or would you? I kind of already know that. I don't think you would have. I think because and not just you, but I think we seek out these same people.
I think you don't know what it is. So what I would have done. So the pattern for me was that I'd meet a nice girl, and then eventually it would turn from her being nice to her because I wasn't in control of things and I wasn't self-confident. Eventually, they would be bickering about things.
So it's almost like you changed them, or do you think it was?
No, it was
their
part of it.
But it was in their nature to.
It depends on which ones, but I think there's an element of it that you change it if you don't maintain the control, and you end up in things that adjust over time. Even my girl now, who I love and she's great, but if I feel like in my soul, if I didn't maintain control of it, it would turn into one of these marriages. She would. And it's not because she's a man-eater or she's awful. It's just all women are man-eaters. It's just how much they're allowed to. Now, listen, I've dated some psychopaths, too, in the past. But it's the same pattern. I would have followed that same pattern. I would have met another girl. I don't know that I would have gotten married again or, or whatever. But it's the same pattern. I would have met a nice girl who would have been fun at first. And I would have thought, now I finally found a good one. And eventually it would break down because I don't know how to have an argument or how to express myself or when to express myself and when to set boundaries and when it's okay to set boundaries and understand that it is okay to set boundaries and go, I'm not doing something. I deserve something, yeah. There were times in the past where I've had arguments over just basic shit, like, where you find yourself, because I'm such a nice guy and I suffer from nice guy syndrome, I find myself apologizing for things that I didn't need to apologize for because it hurt the other person. But what you got to understand is sometimes their pain is not your fault. Things that hurt them are not necessarily because of you. It's something that they have to deal with, and they have to get their shit together sometimes. Yeah. But you have to take accountability of what is and isn't your responsibility to a degree. We had a second question, though, from the guy that we didn't get to, which is, let's see, where was it? Oh, sorry. Bear with me here. It was, he's saying, basically it comes down to this. He's seeing other women as well. This was the same guy. And he wanted to know when he could when he could or should bring it up.
She'll ask. She will ask. When she's ready. If she's not asking, it's because she doesn't care. And if she doesn't care, why, you don't have to tell somebody the one time that you got that boil on your ass in 2006, it's just not necessary. It's not relevant. If she's not interested in you in a way where this is something, ultimately you go out with somebody and then you spend so much time with them and then the phone calls get regular and then all of a sudden you disappear. If you're disappearing when you're with that other person, there's an inconsistency in that, and if it matters to them, they're gonna go, hey, well, they might not even go, hey, where were you? Even that, I start out with that. I go, where were you? I was out with a friend. I was on a date with a friend. What? So it's funny because that really changed this girl's perspective. Who's given the friend zone situation. I called you. You didn't call me. I was out on a date. Figured I'd call you when I call you the next day.
Yep, that could change it up. That's a more direct approach to it. How do you feel, though, Dante, about you would argue that are you leading somebody on? Is it fair to them if they assume that you're
seeing each other? Listen, if you're not hiding it, if your plan is not to hide it, I don't see how you're leading somebody on. Bottom line is we are like some girls will ask you your body count, right? But they won't ask that until they really want to know it. So this is interesting because I had a guy who was consulting with me and he was like, look, I got girls, I got multiple girls, I'm doing what I want to do. I was like, you haven't even baited the hook. Like, she's not even interested. You could go out, theoretically go out with a woman, and she'd be awful. There'd be no connection at all. You don't even want to see her. You don't need to cut your guts open and dump your whole life on somebody. First of all, that's not fair. Second of all, it's not attractive that you bear as you progress. Trust me, the first thing, I'm not right or wrong, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what is this? Are you dating?
When they care, they start asking, what is this? Because they're disingenuous and they're also keeping their window open. Because when there's someone else in the picture, they absolutely utilize that option. They don't play fair in the sense, when there's nobody else in their life and it's just you and they like you, they start to go, well, you led me on. I thought this was just us. Because they want it to be just us. But if they got another guy texting her that she's kind of into,
And even if she just likes the attention, she'll let that go on. I mean, that happens. That goes on even when you're in a relationship. So when she wants to know, listen, you reveal things about yourself as you come closer. You decide what that is. The point is, when there's no reason to reveal that when you're just dating. We had Jared Freed was on the show one time, and he left a girl found a pair of panties under the bed. And she's like, what is this? Right? She goes up and, Now, I said to him, he called me up and he asked me what did I think of it. And I said, if you went to her apartment and she had a nice big gold Magnum XL condom wrapper in her garbage, and you picked it out of the garbage and said, oh, what's this? You know what she would do? Throw you out of her fucking house. What are you, going through my garbage? What are you?
What a unique attacks.
What are you, some kind of stalker? This is the response. And now you go, and if she says that, if your response is, well, I thought that we were, you might as well, it's already done. Like, it's done already. You can't do the same thing. So if she wants to know something, you ask. She'll ask. Trust me. And it ain't gonna be long before she asks them. If she doesn't ask, it's because she doesn't care. Now, and here's the thing. Sometimes she'll ask and not even care. Just the audacity for you to be taking me out on a date, spending money on me, time and energy, and then taking somebody out. How dare you? Are we fucking? No. Well, what do you mean? I can do what the fuck I want. Send them mail. Keep sending them in, bro. They took the dead bodies and they moved them out of the way and they kept breaking down the cookies. So as much as like an ant nest or a bee nest or insects it looks like this collective idea, like there was this philosophical and collection of we need to do this and we need to do that. It really happens in your own household. It happens in your own space. So you not being overly feminine is all you need to do. You can, and then through your example, I think people see your example and think, well,
To temper it in women, if so, how? So there we go.
Okay, so I guess what he's asking is, there's this whole pussification of men and the over-masculination of masculine, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A lot of dude chicks. And trying to tell motherfuckers what to do. What's interesting about that question is, first of all, when we ask these questions about, whenever somebody asks me a question about the overall state of affairs of masculinity and femininity, I think the question, even though it was a well-worded question, the question is bullshit. What we're really doing is by asking a question, a generalization about this, is we're over-intellectualizing what the reality is. What I mean by that is, everybody's not dealing with masculine women. Everybody is not, every guy is not being a pussy. Guys who act like pussies get fucked, and women who are over-aggressive and a problem, they just don't get an opportunity to be with somebody, or they get an opportunity to be with somebody who's a pussy. And the guys, they don't like it. And they don't like it, and they stay because they feel like they have no self-value, and they continue to put up with the bullshit that somebody's putting out with them, or they leave. There's always this thing where you say 90% of the women want 10% of the men. The reality is not to solve the overall question of masculinity and femininity. The job is to find your place in that and to find your own personal happiness. I remember this thing. I remember when I was a kid. There was I was a young kid, and there was a cookie on the floor, and these ants, you know how the ants would run a trail from the ant nest.
This was on a TV or in your house?
No, in my house, in my backyard, actually.
Okay.
And they're running, and they just create a little line and a little pathway to this cookie, and they start breaking this cookie down, right? I was a bit of a fucking weirdo, so every once in a while I would take my thumb and I would smash some of the ants, right? And the thing about that is, you know, they panicked a little bit, but a lot of the ants just kept marching to the cookie. They were single-minded, you know. And then after a while, some of the ants came out. They took the dead bodies and they moved them out of the way, and they kept breaking down the cookie. So as much as the like an ant nest or a bee nest or insects look like, it looks like this collective idea, like there was this philosophical and collection of we need to do this and we need to do that. It really happens in your own household. It happens in your own space. So you not being overly feminine is all you need to do. And then through your example, I think people see your example and they see that you live. Go ahead.
So I think where the question comes from is societally women are trying to be more independent, which I'm not against that, but I do understand what he's talking about in the sense of, like anything else, the movement breaks down into several things, right? So there's a reason political correctness exists, and there's a reason feminism exists, because for, I mean, not even hundreds, thousands of years, men have been brutal with women, just beating and raping them legally. Beating and raping women legally under the law with no issue. It's just
in the war, bro.
Women are trying to be more independent, and also the aspirations of young girls and what they can do. It opens up. And then there's this other spectrum when it comes to the dating world, where it becomes women going, there are women who are using that as a way to kind of almost be reckless with the confines of their relationship. I'm just too independent. He can't appreciate that I'm being independent. Like, no, he doesn't appreciate you because you're not a decent person. That has nothing to do with being independent. But there is this idea of women being a little more aggressive to a degree, and men being a little more in touch with the feminine side, as we used to say, to not be as aggressive. There's a balance to that. And that is happening societally. However, what you have to focus on is being the best person you can be. So you have to ask yourself, what qualities do you want to maintain and why do you want to maintain them, regardless of what they're saying. In my relationship, it's very traditional. And my lady likes that. She likes that it's more traditional.
I also believe that if you were a pussy, then she would not be traditional.
She would not be traditional. Right. Yeah,
and
that's
so
the irony.
So that's the thing. And so he's asking a question about almost like the sociology of masculine and feminine and how and I get that. I get
Nigga.
that you know, that I mean, I've changed immensely in terms of, you know, things that I would have said before I don't say now, and it's just not appropriate. Things, my empathy has widened the scope, but I also am not, you know, I'm not letting any woman be disrespectful to me at all, and I'm not tolerating it. I don't care whether she does it under the guise of being an independent woman or not or whatever. I'm just not tolerating it. Now that doesn't mean because I don't tolerate it, she doesn't have somebody else that she's doing it to. It might be. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I personally, Doug, I remember my sister was that kind of toxic dude. I don't know if I ever told you this story. She was dating this kind of connected guy, you know? And I remember the guy coming around here, this was probably in the 90s, and came around with a Lexus 400, right? Was the hot car at the time. It was a two-seater Lexus, you know, with a little seat in the back, but it was like the sexiest car at the time. And he was like, "You like it?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "It's okay, it's nice." And he goes, "Well, it's yours, right?" He gave her this car. And at the time we were going to an event, they were honoring my father at the time. And I got in the backseat of the car, and she was in the car. And the disrespect that she gave this, right? cursing him out. He had literally just given her a car, $40,000-$50,000 car, right? She's cursing him out, and he was just driving her to the event that was going.
This guy you're saying is connected?
He was connected, yeah.
Still.
That's why he was, well, in a way, it makes sense, because what do I say over and over again? Abusive people abuse people. Hurt people. And so somebody who is abusive in the context of their job or whatever their particular industry is, right? They are abusive, and that abuse comes back in some ways as soon as they find somebody who's more abusive. So whether or not, and he wanted to marry her, and he gave her a car, but she disrespected him so bad that when we got out of the car, I said to her, listen, don't you ever treat another human being like that again when I'm around. I said, if you want to do that shit, you do that shit when nobody's around. But I said, I'm not going to sit in tolerance treating her as being as disrespectful as you did. Not only that, but you literally, he just gave you a car, right? And so it made really sense. So and we're talking about in the 90s. We're not talking about Me Too. We're not talking about, and let's be honest, there have been women who have been chewing up and spitting out men since the beginning of time. Helen of Troy, there was a war that went on for Helen of Troy. Cleopatra and Mark Antony and Caesar. So this is not something new. Although there's this socialization that happens, it's sort of like polygamy. Like we look at polygamy when you look at like Sister Wives or these shows on TV with these, these Mormons with multiple wives and stuff. They can do it because it's in the context of the culture, the religious culture that they're living in. And this is why they're able to do these things. But the bottom line is, it's always been happening. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, your mom chewed your dad up and spit him out.
Definitely, yeah.
What year was that?
That they got married?
No, yeah.
I mean, they probably got married 78, something like that. 70.
So was there a Me Too?
Well, there definitely wasn't. No, it's just my dad was not an abusive guy. He just wasn't that type of guy to physically abuse.
Well, that's not true. He wasn't an abusive guy. But he wasn't abusive to her. He was abusive to you.
Emotionally, yeah. But not physically abusive.
Well, I mean, abuse is abuse, but I'm saying
different. I mean, it's different. I'm just clarifying it because when you say abuse, people categorize it.
I'm saying he has been emotionally he's been emotionally abusive to you, and your mother wasn't physically abusive to him. She was emotionally abusive, right? So what I'm saying is, this is the 70s.
Without a doubt, yeah.
So at a time when women were supposed to be barefoot and pregnant, and throughout history, there's always been a situation where women have chewed men up and spit them out. Always. And vice versa, the case. So I get because there's sociology attached to it. There's a history to it. We're looking at it different, but it's not really different. What I'm saying in essence is you being the best version of yourself and what you don't tolerate. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. I say that all the time. I mean, I'll even be in conversations with people and they'll be like, well, everybody makes mistakes. And I'll say my accountability is that I don't care that everybody makes mistakes. I care about what I'm doing, the mistakes that I make, and those things.
But that's my point of saying, like, you don't focus on what even if mistakes are real. Don't focus on what society is trying to do. Just try to be the best person you can be. Pick and choose from all those things, because I deal with that all the time because I am not an abusive person. But I do have to pick the elements of being in control for the confines of my relationship. So there are traditional values that I maintain. It's not being physically or emotionally abusive, but it is taking control and sometimes having to go, well, this is what we're going to do and this is what it's going to be. And that's how I lead, and that's what she wants as well. It's not something that I'm doing.
They all want that. The difference is when you're doing that, and you don't, and I've said this so many times, this is about your personal belief. Do you think you're worthy of that?
Yeah.
You're leading. You better feel like you're worthy of leading. So when you're not doing what you should be good.
No, not only that, but you better be on your A game so that just from my standpoint, like if I'm going to lead, then I have to be exceptional with what I do so that my word has some value. I can't be a guy who is, like let's say an alcoholic, or I'm fucked up all the time and I'm losing money, I'm gambling money, and then decide I'm still going to be the head of the household and what I say goes. Yeah. But it is like, if I'm going to lead, then I have to be a good leader. And like, I better make sure my shit is right. I better make sure that if I'm taking care of my health, I'm trying to take care of my finances, I'm trying to take care of my career, that everything I'm doing is above board, that I'm not fucking around and lying and all
if
that.
you are, you will have guaranteed you will have the insecurity that will roll to the surface, and she will eventually snip it out, and there's only a matter of time until she goes, oh, this motherfucker is full of shit. And the minute she calls you on you being full of shit, you are going to reveal to her that you're full of shit, because it's true. And it's an amazing thing, the way the truth becomes inevitable simply because of the fact that it is. I mean, this is something, like, it's funny because I watch all these other podcasts and all these other red pill dudes, and, I think what we're talking about, there's technique and there's laying the 5 bricks and there's, time travel and there's body language and all those things. But the reality is when we keep going over these things and we really boil it down to the roots of it all, it is, do you believe that you're worthy of it? Do you believe you want to drive? Are you really worthy of driving?
Right.
Because if you're just doing the work, it's only a matter of time before you will expose. Nobody lies to everybody, ever, forever. Everybody's exposed. Everybody gets exposed. And when you do it, it's one of the things that's great about doing consultations. When you do consultations, and I'm telling guys certain things about, you need to do this and you did, it is a constant reminder of me that I need to live my example. I need to live that example, and if I'm fucking up and I'm not living that example, then I need to be fixing that or working to fix that. If I'm not, I am looking down the barrel of the doctor, thing to get my head blown off by some little cutie or some other situation or whatever, because of the fact that I don't believe it.
I think we stumbled on it a couple weeks ago. We talked about the red pill situation. Those guys want to make themselves high value so that they can get women and bend their will, right? And what we talk about is making sure that you're high value for yourself, that you're a better person for yourself, and with that comes along better relationships.
They absolutely concede.
That's the difference.
With no fight half the time.
No.
I mean, there's situations where you have to go, where you gotta go, yo, you must be out your motherfucking mind. I mean, not to say you don't have to check somebody, but it's like when you say your relationship is a traditional one that needs to be dealt in traditional ways, it is because you have shown yourself to be deserving.
That she can trust me and that I'm credible, and that I'm not leading her astray. I'm not leading her in the wrong direction. That's why she trusts me.
And if you're lying because you're trying to hide something. And what are you trying to hide? You're trying to hide it.
And it's so hiding. I've done that in the past. I didn't do it very much, but the little bit that I did it, it's just so much easier to just do righteous shit and, small things like cheating on my diet back in the day or something. It's just would be exhausting, like hiding rappers. Let alone like, being with somebody else or something. It's just like, if you don't want to be with the person, don't be with them. It's just easier. Tell them the truth.
And if you want to be multiple people, you can do that too.
I've done that.
I mean, you've done that.
But I told the truth. I didn't trick anybody into it. Just being, so I guess the crux of the whole situation, the answer to that question to me is, don't worry about what you see with everybody else. Be the best version of yourself. Take the things that you think are respectable. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
You just follow the principle.
Yeah.
Authenticity, credibility, I understand. Don't get me wrong, it's not like I want everybody listening and all the Patreon people to understand. I do understand that it sounds like an oversimplification of something that is perceived as very complicated. But you know, it is that simple. Because and I find this, any deviation from those two principles on any level, the whole shit starts to come. It's only a matter of time. The weakness, when you're not doing what you're supposed to do, the weakness seeps up into your veins, into your pores. When you look in the mirror, you know you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. There's no impatient days that man wants to do. You want to be the man, you want to be the captain of the ship, you got to steer it all the time. You do not get to take a nap while you're driving. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes. I'm not saying we don't have points of weakness, but what I'm saying, if you're not genuinely stepping forward with following these principles and make an attempt to, and sometimes you fail. Sometimes we are too soft. Sometimes we're not soft enough. Sometimes whatever. But the point is that you wake up and this is an interesting thing about a lot of the listeners. And what I love about them, but what's also frustrating about them. Very smart guys. Very intelligent. If you listen to the construction of that question, very well thought out, very constructive. But it is a way of hiding the insecurity of not being who you say you are. I've seen this, and they're the hardest. Those are the smart dudes because they've been lying to themselves in ways that they don't even know they're doing it because they've intellectualized it in a way that they're not. Read the question.
You want me to reread the whole question?
Yeah, please.
Pull it up here. It's right here. But there are a lot of ellipses and parentheses here. It's really well done.
Yeah, he's dope.
Yeah,
he's a dope.
Fan mail question, colon. All right, you use a colon and a space. I see the pendulum, big word. I like it. That's an AI word. Isn't that an AI word?
That is an
AI word. I see the pendulum continuing to move forward towards women becoming even more independent, domineering, egotistical, like men were.
So he's making a comparison between olden times and good and new times, and this whole newfound freedom, right? It continues.
For parentheses, men are becoming more feminine for sheer balance, period. How should masculine-framed men navigate the ever-growing phenomenon of the increase of masculinity in women? Hold frame and combat.
Now stop it. Here's what I would say to that. That has never affected me.
Here I come.
Never. And I don't care how things change. I don't care how women change. But continue.
So I would say, just to add on, Dante, even women becoming more independent, or sometimes framed as more masculine or aggressive. Some women I think it's great that women have more freedom than they did before, but as far as relationships go, even women who purport themselves to be more aggressive, when it comes to relationships, that wall breaks down when they find someone who can take care of them, who they trust enough.
And then they eat his ass.
That's true. They will eat.
They suck his dick and they eat his ass.
And the balls. Don't forget the balls. You always forget the balls, Dante. For God's sakes, man. Come on. Be responsible here. We gotta
I apologize. But the dialogue of this whole analyzation of destruction of masculine and feminine means nothing if you're taking your dick sucked. If you're laying in your bed getting your dick sucked, and your woman is going, baby, you hungry? You want a sandwich? None of this matters to that guy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Women want to take care of you. You want to take care of them.
Sure they do.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it's because they're so selfish that it's somebody who should not be like you.
And that has nothing to do with being more masculine or having more independence. That exists no matter what. It's just selfish. We've all known selfishness. That goes on the whole time. Yeah.
And just because she's selfish with some guy doesn't mean she's selfish with another guy.
That's
I'm safe.
you gotta be more specific, bro. I got all
Let me
over.
get to it.
I did a lot of damage in the tri-state area.
And she was ducking her ex-boyfriend or whatever the fuck it was, and then you were going up there tying her up and fucking choking her to death. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yes, it did happen. Yes. Go on. Is there a question?
I mean, I've had, look, dog, I can't tell you how many times I had the fucking Dawn with the fucking cop and the, this dude's a police, whatever, sneaking over here to, you know what I mean? It's like,
When you're good, they come for it.
come for it, and none of the grand, the role, the intellectual view of the masculinity and femininity has
None of the
nothing to do.
societal norms and the feminism and this, none of that matters.
Shit. Follow the principles and you won't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
You
you don't
can
have to
get
worry
dick
about
sucked, you know what I mean?
And the balls. Don't forget the balls.
And the balls. If you're following these principles, I guarantee you, your life will change, and then you no longer have to look at the fact that what this is a societal norm. Well, that's what I mean.
Perfect. Great question. Thank you, Malcolm.
Good question.
Really great question. Let's go on to the next question from our buddy Xavier. Hey guys, love the content. I have a question. For some context, I've been with my girlfriend serious for 2 years living together. She has a guy friend who's timid, but a constant in her life. One time, her group of friends were all going to see a movie. I didn't get an invite, which I didn't think much of. However, 2 of her friends bailed last minute and left her with the guy friend, movies and dinner. She told me after the fact, which never sat right with me. I should have said something, but I never did. It left why would you withhold information weird feeling in the back of my mind. It wasn't an issue, but the way she went about handling the situation left me with a feeling. I didn't know how to bring it up, which was fear of confrontation. I should have spoken up. Anyways, fast forward a year later, I can feel she doesn't trust me around my girlfriends. They find me attractive, but I wouldn't do anything with them because I'm honorable. But it leaves a, why don't you trust me? How would you bring this up in a conversation? Thank you, gentlemen. Your work has made me a better man. Can I go with one real quick? You can't fix what's not broken. If you're not doing anything dishonorable, there's nothing to defend from your end. But there's a little bit more to Dante.
Another part of this is, how can you bring it up? How did you form this question and write this question to us? Here's why you were able to form this question. And first of all, I have to assume that there's no consequence. One of the things is I've never let somebody come on the show and shit on the family. I've never let anybody do that because the whole point is to learn and to grow. So anytime I've had somebody come on here, especially my boy Jay Cross, he's like, these motherfuckers is pussies. I'm like, no, you're not going to do that. Because we've all been in different places at different times and different levels of learning. And so I'm not going to have you just disrespect somebody because they're not up to your level, right? A guy who has a six-pack and was a playgirl centerfold. So there's that. Yeah. So, but I will say, I don't let people disrespect y'all because there's a learning process. Second of all, because of that, I think that, especially my Patreon guys, y'all trust me. I mean, y'all trust us. You trust me and Harry. And you trust us. Why? Because you know we're not judging you. First of all, we're not judging you. So that's the first thing. There's trust there. And so when that trust is there, you know that there's no repercussions. You can ask me whatever you want to ask me. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I understand that. I also understand that there are mistakes being made. There are things that are being made. And my genuine perspective is that I want to help people so that they can handle these things on their own, which is really my business model sucks because basically I'm trying to my clients and my customers are the guys that I'm really.
We're fixing people. We should be
I'm
hooking
fixing
them up
people.
like Big Pharma. We
I
need
should
to
be
get them
I
coming
should be
back.
doing like fucking Kevin Samuels and just
Kevin
giving
Samuels.
no answers or fresh and fit or whatever. These dudes who are not really giving real answers. I shouldn't say that because I don't mean to besmirch them like that, but it's just the youthfulness of this is that it's so much deeper for me. It's almost deeper for me, and I can't like. So what I was saying about us doing consultations and being responsible for the things that you say, and not just in what you say, but in your own example, you have to be those things. So the same way that you approached me and you asked this question is the same exact way you should approach your girl. Because the bottom line is, if you're a good dude and you have these are some of your concerns, you should be able to say, hey, I didn't like the way that happened. And then this happened, and that wasn't fair. Now, what do you have to say about that? Now, the problem with that is, you may not like the answer, but not liking the answer is as good as liking the answer. Because either way, once you get that answer, then a decision has to be made. If you're going to know things about this person, for instance, if she doesn't see a difference in her not trusting you, right? And then her being kind of reckless and not really forthcoming, that says something about your lady. It says that she's selfish, that she doesn't have empathy to see where you're coming from. Now, you can explain that to her. You can explain how it's feels. But you also may come to a point where you may be dealing with some kind of sociopath who just doesn't see it. And then the question goes, is this a person who doesn't have the empathy to be with you? Because they don't have the empathy to be with you, you gotta leave them alone. It's just that simple. So the same way that you... In fact, I would memorize this question you asked me, change the pronouns, and spit it right back there. Listen, I got something that's on my mind. You keep giving me a hard time. First of all, you should be offended that she keeps saying that, questioning you about something that you're not doing. Because you should be offended that you have given her no reason for her to question your credibility, yet she questions it on her own anyway, which is really frivolous. Because how do you fix that? How do you fix the clock that's not broken? You don't. All it does is it gives her a space to be abusive because she thinks she feels like this is something that's happening that's not really happening. So how do you even respond to that? There's nothing you can do. So it has to stop immediately. Because if it doesn't stop, it only gets worse. See how these principles just keep coming back again. Never let emotion have a seat at the table. Make ultimate decisions, don't give ultimatums. Put yourself first. If you don't, she won't. Never let anybody define you, because if you let them do it, she won't be treated. Authenticity, credibility, and them. All of these things are in place. But you have to expect and set and know your non-negotiables and never negotiate them. The fact that this woman doesn't give you trust when you're trustworthy is a problem that should not be tolerated. And it should be expressed that way. I've never been nothing but trustworthy and forthcoming. And I'm not going to have you continue to question my integrity when I've given you no reason to do. Furthermore, in the context of how reckless you have been in the past, with the fact that you're asking me to be even more forthcoming, and even though I am forthcoming, there's times when you weren't really upfront that made me uncomfortable, and that has to stop too.
It's simple enough as saying, let's get it all out in the open. Let's talk about it.
Get it out in the open. Otherwise, you're both full of shit. So what I would say is the question that you asked me is the way you breached the question. Never let emotion.
Let's go right into
Just ask it. Never let.
Sorry, finish your thing.
I'm just gonna say, never let emotion a seat at the table. That means also resentment and anger because of the fact that you're asking a question.
So one of the things I'll say also is I feel, this is coming from a man, I feel like women don't take as much consideration at the timing of when they bring something up. I don't know, from my end, because it just comes up randomly.
Yeah, because it's
like
emotional.
So all the times that you as a man go, you know what, not before the vacation, not while we're flying, not on the road trip, not at her parents' anniversary party, not before her birthday.
We doing it right now.
They don't care. They do it right in the moment. So you can certainly pick any random moment you want and do the same thing. But it's just
when you hear this, when you hear this Patreon episode, you go, what, baby?
If the best thing would be if this video is paused, like if you pause it, and it's on Dante's face, with Dante pointing into the camera, and his finger pointing into the camera, and pausing it, and then go listen.
Like a thumbnail on YouTube. That's it. And you have to believe that you deserve better than you're getting.
And, you know, listen, go back to the ACE, authenticity, credibility, and empathy.
I mean,
are you being authentic? Are you being authentic?
You had something that bothered you, and you didn't know about it.
Are you being empathetic? You understand where she's coming from? Fair enough, but is it fair? But the credibility, are you doing anything wrong? Right? Did I do something wrong? And if I'm not, okay. So you check all those lists and then go in for it. Have empathy with her aspect of it, but still, it's okay to bring it up.
Look, women are going to be insecure. When you're dope, women are going to be insecure. And they're going to be jealous. That goes with the territory. It goes with the territory. Nobody has a diamond ring that they're not trying to keep from getting stolen. So, if you don't want that, then just stop being dope. And then, and then you become disposable like every other dude.
The reality is you are available. You are a high commodity. And someone can't come in there. But you're going to show her, hey, I'm here for you. But my girl, sometimes I let her know, like, look, yeah, I could find somebody else. I don't want to. I want to be with you.
You're important because I say so.
Yeah. That's why I'm here. Where am I going? As the great George Lopez once said, where am I going? Ain't going nowhere.
Ain't going nowhere. You love me? Where am I going?
Where am I going? My tools
you
at your mom's house.
You love me.
Where am I going?
Where am I going?
I got my tools at your mom's house. We got 3 kids. Well, there we go. Hopefully that helps, guys. That about does it for listener mail.
Keep sending them in, bro, and I'll keep batting them out the park. I appreciate y'all, man. Love y'all. Don't forget the consultations. Tell a friend. We appreciate y'all. And like, comment, and share on YouTube if you're on YouTube and you're checking our stuff out there.
Yeah, please share.
I met your mom.
Yeah.
I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a beta male either. I'm just a better man. Put your happiness first, because if you don't, they won't. Yo, what's up, Patreon people? What's poppin'? We're here still talking about it behind the scenes. I was going into the, so I was kind of explaining some of the 5 bricks and how emotion cannot have a seat at the table. And one of the things we were talking about is the fact that when you go through this process so regularly that it removes the fear, and then it becomes just being natural, learning how to be natural, learning how to allow your regular charisma come out because there's no fear, there's no expectation. So the process by doing it so frequently, doing the playing the 5 bricks, the first thing it does is it removes fear. Second of all, it allows you're in your most relaxed state because it's something that you get comfortable with. You're also learning to be honest. So I know that seems like a ridiculous thing that you would have to practice that. But a lot of times what we do is we're so busy. If you're not lying, I mean, you're lying, but it's not, maybe not maliciously lying, but a lot of times it's just that we say because we want to get along, we don't want to make waves, we don't want to, and what you have to understand is your words don't have any value if there's no truth to it.
Right.
And I've learned that time words have weight when there's action and truth behind them, and so it's something that we would think that we don't have to practice, but it's something we really have to be practice, to be honest, because so often we we say things that are just not true. One of the things that Harry and I have gone back about several times is, you're on a date, the date's not going well, and a guy will go, listen, first of all, it's hard enough for him to shut the date down and say, and like most guys will just die in silence, be miserable, go through the date. And I say, if you are happy, don't let somebody waste your time. But even in the context when I report guys to stop and say, look, just you don't have to continue, especially if somebody's being abusive. But what guys will say a lot of times is they'll go, listen, I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste my time. When the reality is, I don't care about wasting time. I'm just saying, I don't want to waste your time. So it buffers the fact that I'm not an asshole. I don't want to be an asshole. And what happens more often than not is guys, the nicest guys in the world, are always worried about not being an asshole. When they are, most times, they're incapable. Dean is one of those dudes. Just incapable of being an asshole. And
I don't know about that.
Well, put like this, an asshole would be somebody that would go at somebody unreasonably and for no cause. And I would absolutely say you don't have.
I don't think you go after somebody for no cause.
No,
I mean, you're on your worst. What Dante's saying is on your worst day, like you being like full asshole Dean Edwards, you'd be like a 5, in like the real world, as opposed
it's assertive and confident. Yeah. It's not even. It's more.
I do the same thing.
Let you do whatever you want to do with no regard, no respect.
Right.
Which is not being an asshole.
Right.
An asshole is somebody just unsolicited, unprovoked, just being awful to people for no reason. Right. And Harry doesn't have that. You don't have that. And a lot of the listeners, guys in general, we're so you don't hurt nobody's feeling. You don't want to say what's really on your mind. And so, but the importance of being so, if you say I don't want to waste your time, and you really don't care about her time, because the reality is you don't care about her time. You just met her. You're on a brand new date. There's nothing between you. Yeah. And by you saying I don't want to waste your time is giving her a false. You're being dishonest. You're lying.
You're lying.
And if you're lying already, right? How can she trust what you say on the back end?
Right.
Where if you go, I don't want to waste my time. You don't even have to say, I don't give a fuck about your time. That's not even necessary. But if you say, I do not want to waste my time with you and this nonsense you're doing, it says to her that I feel that I am validated without you.
Right.
It's an attempt. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say, actually, by saying I don't want to waste your time, it's your own attributes. Because if you're fully self-confident, then one would believe, nah, you should wanna hang out with me. I'm so
Right.
Like my time is amazing.
My time is valuable.
My time is valuable, and you're gonna have an amazing time.
Well, it's more valuable than yours.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't have to agree on that. But I have to think that my time is valuable.
Right. I just feel like my time is more important.
Right. I don't care. I don't want to waste my time with your nonsense. And if we could just here's even one, I've even moved beyond that. I don't even go, so there's something I used to say years ago, and it just hit me that it relates to the reality of things. Make ultimate decisions, don't give ultimatums. Ultimatums is a negotiation without understanding, without having an understanding of what your leverage is, right? So when you make an ultimatum, you don't know how the person is going to respond. you think you know until they respond. Right. When you make a decision based on the information at hand, then that is not a negotiation. So if you're feeling as though the date is not going well and the person is not respecting you, you go, I'm done. Let me, not even, I don't want to waste my time. It's, I'm done.
Right.
What do you mean? I don't want to do this. Right. I don't like how you treated me. I think you're self-centered. I think you're disrespectful. I got tickets for this. I picked you up by this. And there's no gratitude. And I don't want to start anything with anybody who's not worth my time. Right. Which is distinctly a different thing than saying, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. And
Right.
you don't want
That's a difference, yeah.
If you don't want to do this, we could just not do this. No, I'm not even giving you the option. Your behavior is unacceptable because I'm not going to put up with that. And I'm saying she can do the same thing, but I'm saying when you start, what you're saying to her is that my life is important. My happiness is important. And if you don't put your happiness first, nobody else will, which is another principle. Because here's the thing, and you've been married 19 years now, 19?
Yeah,
19 years. There's no way you could be a man, have children, daughters, and not, part of your manhood is attached to your ability to keep your daughters fed, safe, and happy. As well as to keep your wife safe and happy, fed, and provided. Right. Even if she does the same. So, as a man, if we're in that position where we have these significant others and children, you not doing your job as a man makes you a failure as a man.
Right.
So your happiness is encompassed in her happiness. Like, you putting your happiness first means yes, I'm going to make sure I get my motorcycle. I'm going to make sure I do things that I want. But it doesn't diminish them because of the fact that he, without a wife, and kids that are fed and healthy and taken care of, and a wife that's happy with the relationship and happy with me, diminishes me as a man. And that's why the importance of making her happy is that's why your happiness, because her happiness don't have nothing to do with you.
Right.
And it's subject to her emotional state at the time. Now, and I'm not saying all of us, but that is the thing when the child is not happy and taking care of the state. That's the failure of the mother. Her happiness, your happiness doesn't come into that. Doesn't matter. I mean, if she wants to be a good wife,
Hey there.
yes, but
Good to hear.
how often do you hear women go, oh, I want to be a great wife? I want my husband to have my husband his happiness.
Right.
Like, hey, I know you've been fucking me for all these years, and I know you probably want some new pussy. So, I don't know. Sharon? I don't know if you'll be into this. I just...
Sharon.
Think about you, that's all. My man said, hey, your birthday's coming up. I could get him another baseball hat.
It's Thursday.
Sharon. A baseball hat or a cherry.
Let's shake it up.
So, do you think that programming, societal programming, or do you think that's innate gender-wise?
Well, I mean, absolutely the parameters of that program. I mean, because, look, if your success has never been measured by how much Bitcoin you own. So there's these other principles that are in place. I think even in the time of us as a species, you gotta, your focus, your instinctual focus is to procreate and let your I'm not a religious person, but my immortality lives in the fact that my DNA line is full, and a failure to do that is a failure as a member of a species, and it's also a failure as a member of just the whole species as well, just not just me as an individual.
Right.
Harry, we're gonna do that question. We got a question. I want to cover
Sure,
that.
man. Let's cover it up. We got a couple here. So, let's go with this one. Dante, love you at Man School. I bring a ton of value, good earner, fit. We love you too. I bring a ton of value, good earner, fit, above average, looking honest, trustworthy, kind, etc. And am confident I can give myself a big buzz to help support. I really want to bring my A game and get better at communicating my value. What do I need to do?
I think and this is again, this is why we lay the 5 bricks, but it's the same thing. Everything is everything else. I mean, as a comic, you communicate your values when you believe it. So when I hear somebody and they list these things and they say that they're not communicating it, my question is always, my thought process is, do they really believe that they are as dope as they are? And the only way that you can believe that is by taking stock. You have to constantly take. I always say I'll never let anybody define you, because if you do, it won't belong to you, ain't shit. But you have to do the work to understand what your value is, and it's not just. Go ahead, Harry.
I have a theory or an idea. I think the value is communicated not by directly stating the value, but by the decisions that you make. So, your value is stated when you don't tolerate nonsense. So if somebody is rude to you, you go, yeah, no, we're good. I'm not doing that. Let's wrap this up. Like, those are the things that communicate the value. I don't think it's
I agree.
Stating it, or maybe you feel like it is.
I agree with you, but I think you're going to the level up before we get to the root. At the root,
okay, fair enough.
When you know what your value is, you do not tolerate dumb shit. Somebody, I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm a much softer kind of Dante now. I would say, right now.
Saw a couple instances this weekend of Dante being a nice softer Dante.
That's a little tone of sarcasm.
I mean, you are softer, but again, a softer Dante is still a
Dante.
It's still a Dante, exactly.
Still a Dante.
Like the time I said I was having.
Go ahead, say it, Alex. Go ahead.
Good to hear.
So what'd you do this weekend? This is the last week. I go, hey, I went to a friend's engagement party. We had a nice time. I was chatting with so-and-so and this other comedian. And I go, it's a nice time. All the ladies were hanging out, the couples, and it was a nice time. And he goes, oh, yeah, so-and-so? Oh, man, I'd rather chew broken glass than hang out with him. I go, I just said I had a good time. You're like, oh, my bad.
I think
I hope so doesn't follow the Patreon portion of the
Yeah,
He doesn't care. I
I know. No, I was saying that. Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
And I didn't say chew glass. I said swallow.
Swallow. I knew exactly.
Well, that makes it different. I take it back. I withdraw my complaint.
Much kinder.
Yeah, that's much kinder. An angry Dante would have said he would chew broken glass, but a softer Dante, I'd rather swallow. Anyway.
But I think what happens is, when you really understand what your value is and the value you bring to the table, you go, yeah, I don't want to do that.
You stand in the power of no.
Yeah.
Right? No doesn't, when we're attempting to
Oh, yeah.
others, yeah. I'm gonna try. You know what? I'm gonna see if
And work in progress.
Yeah, but the reality is, if somebody invites you, and that's come just from maturity. Now somebody, this used to bug me. Newer comics,
Most definitely. Send me a picture so I can save you.
coming up.
How the fuck do you upgrade this shit?
Not even before 6 years. 15, 20 years. trying to come up to like, hey man, yo, I saw you wild funny. Oh, cool, man. Hey, you know what? Let me get your man. And being polite, I'd be like, oh, but in my mind, I'm like, why do I want to?
I'm not talking.
Right now, oh, if somebody says, and I remember, I think I saw the tweet to it, and I was like, yeah.
I was just gonna say that. But you to go. I'm not doing that.
He's like, hey man, let me get your man. He's like, no, why? And I think sometimes what we all need to do is owning our own time. Because our individual time is important. It's holding the mirror to someone, and the mirror tells up their being invasive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So people know they're being invasive, but they're also taking advantage of someone being a nice guy, you know, being polite. And so someone coming up to me now and saying, hey man, let me get your number. I'm like, nah, you know what? Well, I'm not gonna answer, you know, or even more blunt. Why? If you guys are linked to those two letters, if someone says, hey, let me, you know what? Why? Oh, well, because we're not going to talk. We're not going to... I remember the years ago when I telemarketed back in the night, telemarketed one of my work friends, his name is Chris Brown, right? Saw him, we worked together like 96, 97. We ran into Leave the Trees, we were leaving Steinberg's office probably around 04, 05, and walking down.
I knew this was a true story.
Yeah. So it was true. So I ran into the kids, we had seen each other 5, 6, and like, yo, yeah! The whole, man, so afterwards, at the end of it, hey man, let me get your number, we gotta catch up. Yeah. And the whole time, watching me just, and I feel it. I feel him standing
on the perch, just beaming you.
So then Chris walks away. I'm like what? And I start laughing because I just he's like, why? You're not gonna call each other. There's a reason you lost contact. Why did you both go? And I was like, oh, and I started laughing because I was like, I don't know. Because that's what we do. But the reality is, like,
Oh, God.
If anything, I'm taking your number so when you call, I know, okay, I don't need to call.
Yeah.
That sounds rude, but it's the reality. It's like, yeah,
I mean, you got things to do. You get this, I get this. No. No, you still doing that comedy shit.
Yeah.
Right. I know where this is going.
Right. They didn't believe in you in the first place.
I go, listen, I've said this. If you'd like to come, come. You're not doing me a favor by coming.
Right.
I'm a professional. This is something I'm doing you the favor for coming out. If you ever want to hit me up and you could come, well, when's your next, tonight?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, the next day after that. I'm taking on Sunday and then I start back. I'm always doing it. So when you're ready, then when they go see you and they go,
Hey there.
oh, yo, I'm gonna cut it, and I go,
Ball block
You
clear.
don't have to. And guess what? You don't have to make an excuse for not coming. Because like you said, you found success without their support. And what happens is people want to insert their importance, but the reality is, and that's again, ego, right?
yeah.
Ego, that's the ego.
Now
So,
I'm gonna
like I don't.
and then it's this, man, it's really funny.
Actually.
Right in the fucking face.
With this,
Yeah, I know.
I didn't think you were, and I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. I wouldn't have done it. But I ran into you, and I figured I had shit else to do, and I found out, wow, you're dope at what you do. Yeah, I in my neighborhood all the time. Oh, we're gonna get together. If you don't, it's fine. Because if you do come, now I gotta stay.
Right.
I gotta hang out.
Right.
We I don't want to be a host. I don't want to host. You're going to tell me how great I was. And it's fine. It's I really want to come see you.
Yeah.
Man, I really been wanting to come see you. I saw your stuff. Really interesting. That's a different thing.
Right.
The dynamic of that said, you understand what my value is. And
Right.
you want to be part of it. Yeah. That's fine. And I think the distinction is when the emotion is in place, not just the arrogance, but just emotion in general. Because I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be, but the honesty is the only thing that's ever given words any value, any weight. The gravity of words only come from honesty and action.
Yeah.
If there's no honesty and action, then the words mean nothing. And I say this all the time. I said, as comics, we get paid for our words.
Yeah.
Why would you waste them?
Right.
Why would you give them? You give your profits away.
Right.
And when you start thinking that way, and you start being more, you know what else it does? You shut the fuck up.
Shut up, because you're like, I don't need you on all the time. I get paid for it. You have self-assessment. That's honestly, that's what it is. But if you can look in your mirror and honestly see your value and see your shortcomings, so that you can work on making them, more valuable and diminishing them. That's when you really come into your true self and your honest self. And you're like, yo, I'm dope. And it's not arrogant to have self-confidence. There's a difference between cocky and confident, and I think, bringing it to mainstream, guys have to raise up their confidence without going into a realm of cockiness, because you can be confident in yourself, like I forgot the guy's name that sent you the message, was it Matt or Steve? I forgot. Steve.
You have my thanks.
Steve, if he honestly believes he's dope, he doesn't gotta sweat him.
You have my thanks.
But I could also see that there's something to him not believing that.
Right. Well, again, but that's holding it that way. If you truly believe that,
But he doesn't. That's why he
that's the problem. Exactly.
doesn't. And that's because once you believe it comes out your core. It's in the cadence of you. It's in what you address and what you don't address.
Right.
And so he's definitely dealing with some things that he's insecure about. And all you have to do is just keep doing the work. It's like, one of the things that people used to say this about Mayweather all the time is like, he never didn't train.
Right.
Like, he never went in, never seen him go in and be fat.
Right.
Not train, not give the whole training season, the whole camp, I mean, he does it now when he's fighting Jake Paul and dudes like that.
Yeah.
But he's also admitted to that. I ain't trained for that. But every opponent the best version of him is in there.
Nigga cry you with that. Oh, man.
Because that's the case.
Right.
When you're asking these questions, it's because you're not really there.
Right.
The answer comes to you when you really do. I mean, dog, we just came from D.C., performing in front of a crowd that's really not a particular, they're not comedy.
It's not a comedy crowd, right.
It's not a crowd. It's older crowd, it's this, that, their comedy sensibilities is, but you gotta be confident enough to know that what I got this smoke for them. Some of it is gonna go over their heads, some of them it's then, because it's not, they haven't trained in the etiquette, but overall, I got this smoke, and I do. Harry, we, bunch of upwardly mobile black people. DC, right? Just doctors, lawyers,
professors,
my first day was like, I go to black people, upwardly mobile, militant black people. Right after this, we're headed to the Capitol. We're gonna shoot that motherfucking black man.
That's funny. They got big laughs too.
I know.
I go, all right, calm down, all right. And the Jews.
Oh boy.
But Dante's right, because you felt, having done, say, a bunch of shows on Thursday and Friday in the city in actual comedy clubs, and then going into a venue that is traditionally music and really dinner theater where a performer comes out and
Who's that City Winery?
City Winery. So people are eating.
Classy establishment.
Yeah, man.
That ain't no dive bar.
Right. No. People spend.
That's fire.
From all over the country, and so
PhD doctors,
That's a picture, nigga.
and lawyers and stuff. Man.
So it's like the setup is not conducive to comedy, but to Dante's point,
I know.
we've been doing this long enough that it's Denzel, the brand. Dante is a brand. Dean Edwards is a brand. I stand behind it. I guarantee it. And so and if they don't laugh in your mind, I'm like, well, that's on you.
Yeah, because that's funny. All I gotta do is see these pretty teeth behind me. Because he has to be. He knows this. You know this game. So even if it ain't what you do, you know what. Yeah, that's funny. All right. That's Dean, man. I love you, bro.
I love you too, man.
It's good meeting your mom too, man.
Yeah.
First time I met your mom.
Yeah. I'm glad, man. It was a wonderful experience, and I look forward to doing the next one. And what do you think of the overall show? What would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10? What would you give the entire?
It was exactly what they needed.
Okay.
It's what they needed, and if we critiqued it from a comedic,
not necessarily even a comedy, just the run of show. I said to Harry earlier, I said there's some things that I'm gonna just suggest to tighten the show.
What would you suggest?
I think at least the show doesn't have to be as long. I think if you're gonna do guests, that the guests should not have listed on the run of show the same exact time as the people that are booked. A guest spot is 5-7 minutes. I would put, my wife actually said this, put guests earlier in the show. You shouldn't have, it shouldn't be bang, 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 and now here's some special guests. You intersperse them throughout the show. And then also, because I also, if you're doing a Q&A, I think...
we also did topics the first time we did it.
Oh, okay.
We did it like the radio show.
Oh, okay.
The same format, and then it was comics in between, and then
which
I think
like
worked better.
I think so too, because also since it's her audience, they're trained to understand the run of the show from the radio. So bringing that into a live thing, like when people, you saw from the line of people that wanted to take pictures with her, that people wanted to do that. So I think the way to do that is say, if someone actually say, now's your chance, y'all. A lot of y'all have called and never got through. If you have something, a statement you want to praise her, you want to just say something. Now's your chance. So then that gets people engaged to say.
And this is the way they listen. Well, I agree.
Yeah. So just little ways to tweak it.
I'm gonna see you Thursday on this.
Yeah, man. Yeah, looking forward to it. I want to see what you think. I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of the cast assembled and the writing. It's a great show, man.
I've heard nothing but great things. I'm not an alpha. Reference Patrice, which is interesting. That's interesting, and I've heard President reference Patrice as well. I think what happens is I think that what I have done is I've boiled this shit down to and down to the root, down to the crystallized shit where everything comes from. But I understand how philosophically this stuff has to have to understand what relates to what. So one of the things that frustrates me is because and a lot of times I'll say, and I get it because I get it's so counterintuitive, the stuff that I'm saying, but it all refers back to the same thing over and over again. So, which is ace. I say it over and over again. People hear me say it, and they practice. Even when they're practicing it, they don't know they're practicing. And they don't, and when they're not practicing it, it always strikes them in the head. So you can do all kinds of techniques. If you learn, if you pick up on this stuff, looking over the shoulder, keeping forward with body language, all those things, time travel, all these different techniques that you might have developed. I picked them up along the way. The bottom line is if you are not authentically that person, if deep down you really see this woman as more valuable, which is basically an arbitrary value that you're putting on women that you don't even know. And I mean, if you got woman, she's a 12, she's a Victoria's Secret model, and then she's got herpes. She ain't a 10 no more. Maybe she's a Victoria's Secret model, she's sucking your dad's dick. No one wants to help any. You know what I mean? Like, well, if she's
So that's just to jump in, Dante. That's the thing I was talking about before, which is I feel like the guys over at Fresh and Fit or Andrew Tate or whatever, they talk about being a better man, and what they really are doing is increasing their value so that a woman doesn't hold that value over them. And that's the issue I kind of have with it, because it's not about fixing yourself for you, or it seems, and again, I don't listen to a ton of it, but it seems like I'm going to become a better man so that I'll never have
I don't have to put up with this shit. Which is, let's be honest, that's the same thing that Harvey Weinstein did. I'm going to become so rich that I can bend people's will. I'm going to be so hot. I'm going to have a six-pack. I'm going to do this, some of that, so that you can't hold these things over yourself. But what we don't understand is none of those things matter in the grand scope of things if they're not authentically true. Whereas there's no congruency. There's no congruency with the whole, and not only that, but if you could be rich and you like, so like you always use. They would have 5 girlfriends and they would all shop together and stuff. And I
got the whole set.
Hey, I really want this to be about us, just you and me. And he goes, that's really nice, but let me tell my private jet to pick you up and take you home to Oklahoma, wherever the fuck you came from, because I'm sorry that it didn't work out, but you gotta go, right? But he does that because he's worth $500 million. It's so saying that you can't have women.
Oh, cool.
You can't have 5 women because you're not worth $500 million. I was sleeping in my mother's basement on a futon with just endeavors of success, and I had 5 different women, and I had threesomes and stuff because the value is the real value is, again, it's civility and kindness, truth, credibility, and empathy. Those things are worth more than anything. The problem is,
hey nigga, where Guile at, man?
Those things are worthy. Just like we put this arbitrary value on a woman and her attractiveness, which we already know her attractiveness will fade. She will get older. She will gain weight. She will not look, her titties will sag, whatever the fuck it is. We put this value on it right now when we know that that value is waning as we speak. So, I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's funny because even my boy Sneeko, I watch Sneeko and I'm watching Sneeko get angry. Like he would. He's one of like the angrier ones. And he wasn't angry when he was talking to me. It's like.
Well, I'll say this. Hold on. We've had him on the show. He never got angry on the show because I think he respected you so much that he was willing to listen. But there were moments of things we tried to explain to him at times with Sneeko where I go, he could go either way with this. Like we were trying to explain the Harvey Weinstein thing to Sneeko. I felt like he didn't fully grasp it or didn't have the empathy at the time. Not,
What do you
not,
think? What didn't he grasp?
He just didn't think it was a big deal, or he thought it was like, he goes, well, I'd be willing to fuck somebody if I had to do it, or what about the people? I forget the exact thing that it was, but
No,
it was
I can see the angle.
Yeah, it's something similar to...
The angle was like, you know I got money, you trying to get my money,
Right.
you're trying to get ahead, you're trying to get my money, and this is what you want this, and don't get me wrong, I believe that there are women that made that. There were women that made that deal, but everybody, all those women didn't make it, you know? And some of those women were felt that they were in a bad situation and didn't want to ruin their career, and then felt pushed into that. And there were also women who were naive.
But there are also women who just said no, and fucking Harvey Weinstein did it anyway. So it's all of that, but the thing is with him was he kind of picked the angle that he wanted to a degree. But again,
I just think he was young. He was young, and I think he was young, and I think when you're young and the hypocrisy is in your face, when you got dumb chicks with perky titties, and they're I'm the prize. No, I'm the prize. Really? Well, but you like guys who are better than you. So if I'm better than you, how are you to be? You know,
That's the whole hypergamy thing, right?
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy is so extensive. But when somebody, you know, this is literally like when I ran into a guy a Proud Boy dude who knew me from back in them days, and he was like, yeah, well, you know, he was one of the dudes who went on stage and pulled his dick out. He had a micro penis, and he pulled his dick out. And everybody was like, yeah, you know, crazy white boys was like, yeah. And they were like, yeah, you don't get... And I go, well, why? I asked him, well, why'd you do that? You know, it's like a real simple one. Why would you do that? Because I don't give a fuck. So you come out of this audience. You stand on the stage. You profess to everybody that you have a micro penis, and then you pull your pants down and show your dick for something that you don't give a fuck about. Like, don't you think that that's a lot of effort? Now, if you want to say, I don't give a fuck about what everybody thinks.
Yeah, because I could see, I would never do that just because I think I got a little bit more class in that. But I could understand if he came to the perspective of, I want to put myself in such situation that I don't give a fuck what anyone could think. And I can see how...
But just by putting yourself... And here's the thing. Even you said this initially. This is what you said. I put myself in uncomfortable situations, which was exposure therapy. Which mean you did what? You gave a fuck. Like, you don't have to do that to not... You don't do that unless you give a fuck. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Right, so I've changed my whole, and my camera's coming back.
Don't worry about it, we can hear you though.
I've changed my whole, so my brand, my whole thing on my brand is, we don't want to, I cares none what people think, right? That's what it started off as.
Right.
But in all actuality, anybody who knows me knows that I actually care quite a lot. So, what it kind of turned into was I cares none about the things that are keeping me from moving forward in my life where I want to go. So obviously I would like Dante and Harry to like me. But if Dante and Harry don't like me, I cares none, I'm still going to be the best version of myself. So that's kind of where the cares none, because it's a lot of empathy in this whole brand. The whole brand's about helping people, right? So I definitely think to some degree, I do care what people think, but not to the things I wanted. Like, for instance, me thinking that they're looking at me and judging me for how I look, when I know that, one, they don't even notice most of the time, but two, even if they do notice, why does it hinder me? And I'm like, it doesn't really matter what they think, because they'll forget about it in 8 seconds.
Right. But what I'm saying is, caring what people think is natural. When you start to when you really don't care, then you stop doing things to not care or to exhibit the fact that you don't care. Do you feel what I'm saying? Like, so if you're a grown ass man and a 3-year-old kid balls his fists up, or 5-year-old kid says, "I'm gonna punch you in your face," right? you are not affected by that in any emotional way, because there's no threat. The child is 3 years old. There's no threat. You truly don't care what this kid says, because there's no reason to. He's 3. He's got a little chubby fist. You're not afraid. You're not in danger. None of those things. And so your response to that is not. It's not even significant. Oh, are you really? Are you gonna? You know what I mean? Like, so we don't.
But you gotta lay those 5 bricks to get there.
Absolutely. And if we had all laid the 5 bricks, we'd have got there quicker. And the reason why it was set up in the way it is to get you there as quickly as possible for those reasons. And everything, like, I literally thought of it. I mean, there's a lot of time and energy that I put into putting it to read the timing, how many it is, why you do it, what I'm asking you to do. The fact that on the first phase, because the second phase is different than the first phase. The first phase is just all I want is to it's like I'm spoon feeding you. All I want you to do is to not be afraid to do it. Understand that the thing that you think is going to happen doesn't happen. And when you do it 5 a day, every day, and you realize the thing that you're worried about never happens. No chick goes, well, fuck you, and nobody. They say thank you, or they don't say anything. I mean, and most of the time they say thank you. And then a lot of times when they say thank you, they'll smile and give you a smile back, like almost surprise.
Right. Because people don't really interact like that nearly as much. Like, they're probably not used to that. Especially if it's an old lady, and if you're not doing it to try to fuck, you're doing it just because you're trying to be authentic and talk to a woman. A lot of those women that you'll do that to will be genuinely thankful.
Harry was talking about last show. Harry was talking about I'll introduce myself to the waiter.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Harry was saying
On the road, I was very polite to the waiter. He seemed very busy, but I was like, what's your name? I took a second.
At a Bob Evans.
At a Bob Evans, out of all places.
Oh, yeah. You heard it.
Yeah, Bob Evans.
A rare one. And hey, what's your name? Just very polite, eye contact, smiling, nothing too crazy or anything. I wasn't like cracking jokes or whatever. Just like, well, thank you. If you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for the glass of water, man. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Whatever. And eventually, I don't even remember the specifics of what we did. We were just kind of chatting very quietly with him. And he just said, you guys were a ray of sunshine. Like, you really made my day better.
You are the wind be under my wings, Harry.
Yeah.
Just smiling. I get free guacamole, free chips all the time because they're just like, I like your vibe. Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't know that was going on. All right, I got to smile more.
Yo. If I knew he was getting free guac, yo, Chris.
I've gotten free guac at least 3 times, swear to God. At Chipotle for smiling. I'm telling you, people shocked. I'm always kind of smiley. Yeah. And maybe because I grew up in an all-white area, and I just kind of, because I'm big, so I'm 6'2", big.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have to.
Yeah, you got to learn how to. You want to disarm their racist ass.
Yeah, right. Which is unfortunate, but that's what I had to learn how to do. And
what's even better is when it's not just when it is sincere. I was driving the car, and there was a sister, and she wasn't smoking. She was cute, but she wasn't smoking. But her glasses was dope, and her outfit was. And I go. You look really cool. Like, and it wasn't anything great but she could tell that I get, like, she could. You see me. Like, you see me doing my thing. And I was like, yeah, I do see you. And she stopped. And I mean, she could tell she was the I give you attitude type of chick. And it just instantly turned around. And so.
Because you do things that you do that intentionally, like trying to be a good human. I remember you said this a while ago, Dante. You said, and we actually brought this up on the last pod. If you're gonna sweep, are you gonna get that? Are you gonna get that last little bit of dust? And I always, every time so now I get the vacuum and I do it right because I'm like, and what WWDD, what would Dante do?
Yeah.
Be the guy who, and I'm not gonna act like I've done it 100% of everything, but that's my goal.
Right. The goal, and what happens is you do that. You start to do that in everything. You start to do that in your life and everything, and it becomes habitual. And then because it becomes habitual, it just happens. And then you start to affect people in amazing ways. I didn't like even leading with action. And I just like my son is in London, and my wife called me, said she wanted to take him to the zoo. She sent me the website with how much it costs to take him to the zoo, and blah 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 whatever. This was how much it was going to cost, and so on. And I sent her the money, right? Plus some money for them to eat, whatever. And then when I was like, well, how was the zoo? And she tells me, oh, we didn't go to the zoo, right? So I took all this extra money, sent her all this extra money for something that she didn't do. And then today, she hits me up and she goes, oh, I'm hanging out with my girlfriend. Could you send me some money to hang out with my girlfriend, right? And in my mind, my ego was like, oh, this bitch trying to take advantage of me. Now, do I think she was trying to take advantage? No, I just think she was being selfish and inconsiderate, but I don't think she was intentionally trying to take advantage of me. I gave her all this extra money yesterday that she didn't spend, as if I wouldn't know she didn't spend it when she told me she didn't go to the zoo.
So what do you say?
I don't have it. I just go, no, I don't have it. But my ego wanted me to be angry about it. My ego wanted me, this bitch, and I started to go in, yo, didn't I just give you blah, 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 blah. You didn't even go. Why do you have this money? Like, why do that? When all I got to do is say no. Not doing it. I'm not doing it. I won't do it.
Fair enough. Let's, before we get finished here, I want to answer the question that Chris had. But
Sure.
Well, no, I still got the questions. If y'all can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, but yeah.
So I've come to the realization that the most successful people on earth tell the best stories. That's like kind of what I think about. Do y'all agree with that statement?
Not necessarily. Elon Musk seems like a terrible storyteller.
And Zuckerberg who's worse than Zuckerberg?
Yeah.
When it comes to telling a story.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean just money either, though, as far as like financially. Just
This
like
is true.
The people who I look up to the most are the ones who tell the best
Great
stories.
storytellers. Well, there's great value in being a great storyteller.
Yeah.
I love a great storyteller.
Communication is important. People who communicate well, that's always a good thing. Which is what we're talking about when you smile and you go, when you see people. But go ahead, answer.
Well, I mean it really from the perspective of going in front of people and talking. So, like, if
the hardest
you guys
skill in the world
is a storytell in public speaking.
No, just public speaking is the hardest skill in the world.
Why do you think that is?
Because people are afraid of it the most. So therefore, to be able to do it properly, you have to. It's the number one fear people have is public speaking. Right. So therefore, it's then by that definition of that, it's the most difficult task in the world.
Because I know personally, I've been viewed, countless millions of times online, which still takes a little bit of getting used to too. But having 5 people in a room judging you as opposed to millions over your phone is still the energy you're going to feel in that room.
It's different.
So,
yeah.
Right. So, and like I started off with the comedy thing, but I think I want to lead more with the self-development because I'm working on myself and I'm just documenting the process. Right. And I know that I'm going to end up talking in front of people, public speaking, and that's going to come. I already know that.
Right.
So I just kind of want to, but would you agree that I need to learn how to tell a proper story to really captivate an audience?
I guess you're already telling stories. So I guess the question is more, how do you tell a better story? Is that what you mean? Chris?
Oh, we actually lost him there for a second. That's
He's froze.
He froze there for
Chris,
a
you
second.
there?
Let's see. Yeah, I hear you.
There we
Okay.
go.
All right.
So Dante, repeat what you were saying.
So I said the real question is not whether you should tell, because you're already telling stories. I guess you're asking, how do you tell a better story?
Right.
So this is an interesting question. Number one is an instant question because I teach a comedy writers workshop, and one of the things that I realize is that, and me and you know, and even Harry and I have talked about this in terms of Harry's been doing comedy as long as I've been doing, and you know, one of the things Harry likes, you know, Harry always would say he likes words, he likes wordplay, and so on and so forth, and we've debated back and forth about this, but one of the things that I say is that when you're talking to another human being, we think that we need to give more information than we need to give. So we use more words than we need to.
I agree with that. Yeah, we need brevity is important in comedy.
And
the amount of info to get the most amount of information out there. At least, yeah.
And when you really have, and here's where we go back to ACE again, empathy. Being able to see it from the person's point of view. If you are in that, if you can really put yourself in that person's point of view, you can also see the information that they need, because what happens is when we're telling the story, we're always trying to finish the story. Like, we want to know the direction that we're going. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So we're filling in the parts. Being a great comic, being a great storyteller is when you can understand what information is necessary and what information is not necessary. And so the problem is, the better comics always are the ones who understand that the information, unnecessary information, should be removed. So the brevity of information. So, for instance, I remember I was helping this girl write a joke, and she was talking about how she was from Florida and it was hot in Florida, right? And she goes, I think she goes, you know, I'm in Florida and it's muggy and my whole body is moist, and she's explaining this, right? When the reality is, when she says I'm in Florida in the summer, right? As soon as I say I'm in Florida in the summer, what comes to your mind, Chris?
But imagine you're hot.
Right. Would you think that you're chilly? Would you ever in the middle?